Hello, Bat family. I'd like to start this video by thanking you all for helping this channel reach 10,000 subscribers in such a short period of time. Originally, these contingencies were created as a means to counter the Justice League should they ever go rogue. But in time, I remembered that ours was not the only heroes in the multiverse. So I expanded, researching other beings from other universes. And in that time, I've tackled characters such as Captain Planet, Bugs Bunny, and even Goku. But for every contingency I released, one name would always appear. He is by far the most requested hero, one I promised I'd tackle when we reached this milestone. And today is the day. Today, we will cover the original series, which ran from December 27, 2005 to April 15, 2008. The reason I am separating each series into their own contingency is due to the changes of strength and weaknesses that occur between them. And when accounting for things like alternate universes or time displacements, it's safe to be prepared for any and every period of time. So with that said, sit back and enjoy. Agamemnon Contingency, it's hero time. Ben Tennyson's story began on his first day of summer vacation. Lamenting on the fact that he would be sharing it with his cousin, Ben would travel the forest of their campgrounds, alone at night. Side note, never do this. We don't all have people watching us and ensuring our destiny be unaltered. More on that on a later video. During his walk, Ben would stare up into the night sky and see something he believed to be a falling satellite. He would narrowly avoid it crashing into him after suddenly taking a sharp turn towards his direction. And much like any curious 10-year-old boy, he would investigate the object that nearly killed him. When staring into it, Ben would make first contact with the device known as the Omnitrix, though Ben himself would call it the Watch for some time. The Omnitrix is stated to be on a technological level of 20, created by the first thinker, also known as Azimuth. Since its creation, many have sought it out, seeing it as nothing more than the ultimate weapon. However, that was not its original function, quite the opposite in fact. At first, Azimuth would state the purpose of the Omnitrix was to bring different species together, but he would later state its true purpose, which was to store the DNA of dying or endangered species, with the plan to revive them should they go extinct. Because of this, there are millions of alien DNA samples stored in the device, though the vast majority of them are locked away. The user of the Omnitrix is also sampled and set to the default form, for when the wielder reverts back from their transformation. Because of this, the Omnitrix is completely melded with the wielder's body, making removal impossible without knowledge of how to properly deactivate it. It also has a defense mechanism to prevent forced removal, protecting its wielder should anything attempt to remove it by cutting it off. Finally, the Omnitrix has a self-destruct function, a means to destroy it should it fall into the wrong hands. But this destruction feature has the potential to destroy an entire universe. I've heard of the nuclear option, but this is on another level. When first obtaining the Omnitrix, Ben had access to 10 different aliens, though by the end of the original series this number would go up to 18, though this number can vary depending on one's opinion on the canonicity of some events. The following is the list of aliens Ben possesses at this time, along with a brief breakdown. Wild Mutt, a Vulpimancer who, while blind, is capable of perceiving their surroundings through a keen sense of smell. This canine-like species is very nimble for its size, capable of performing incredible acrobatic feats. A small note I should add about aliens added to the Omnitrix is that it is limited to intelligent species, and the Vulpimancer only barely managed to qualify. That said, this is the only alien in Ben's original roster unable to speak. Forearms. Coming from a warrior race known as a Tetramand, he is likely the alien most built for physical combat. One of his most impressive feats being not only being capable of withstanding attacks from a mammoth, but was even able to toss one as well. Gray matter. While the smallest and physically weakest of his aliens, the Galvan is also the smartest. It is also the same species as the creator of the Omnitrix. I am unsure of where the knowledge comes from, as even Ben was surprised to see how smart he'd become when turning into this alien. XLR8. Conaceleran are a species of incredible fast aliens. While some sources say they can move anywhere between 500 to 800 miles per hour, Ben has been capable of moving fast enough that anyone else around him were completely still. Upgrade. Mechamorphs are a techno-organic species capable of assimilating with any form of technology. Not only are they capable of taking full control of it, but Ben has been shown using one to, well, upgrade the performance of it as well. A surprising fact is that mechamorphs were also created by Azimuth. At least nothing went wrong there. Diamond Head. Petrosapiens are not only capable of reforming body parts into weapons, but also capable of growing diamond-like constructs from the ground. At this time, only one Petrosapien remains of the species. He has made a few appearances to aid and/or mentor Ben in the past. Ripjaws, an aquatic species known as Piscius volan, his biology seeming to be a mix of man and anglerfish. While he isn't a shark, I can't help but wonder if a certain repellent of mine would work on it. Stinkfly. The Lepidopteran doesn't seem to have much standing out from the rest of Ben's aliens aside from its ability to fly. That said, its slime can somehow be used to put out fire and/or strengthen it. How this works is beyond me. Ghost Freak. This one is concerning for reasons I'll go into later. But the ectoneurite are quite literally ghosts, ones that can interact with others but cannot be interacted with. This is an alien that can not only strike fear into an enemy, but has done the same to Ben as well. And the last of the original 10 is Heat Blast. This alien is a living fire known as a Pyro Knight, capable of not only producing but also manipulating fire. He has also been seen capable of absorbing flames to put out other blazes. Heat Blast also had the honor of being the first alien Ben ever transformed into. The rest are aliens Ben had unlocked over the course of his summer vacation. Cannonbolt. Arburian Pelorota's only means of combat is to roll themselves into a ball. That said, their outer shell is incredibly durable, capable of withstanding the impact with the Earth's crust after reaching terminal velocity. While Ben did voice discomfort after impact, I should mention he was carrying his grandfather and cousin inside his shell, neither of which seemed to be harmed by the impact. Small note, the Arburian Pelorota home planet was unfortunately wiped out not long before Ben unlocked it. While there may be some still alive in the universe, it's safe to say it is an endangered species. Blitzwolfer. Ben's first time transforming into a Loboan was different than the others. After coming into contact with what they believed to be a werewolf, Ben would see his body slowly transforming into one as well. It wasn't until the end of this process that it was revealed to be another alien. While Ben would never again undergo a transformation like this, the event did end up revealing another feature of the Omnitrix. Should any alien make contact with the device, its DNA will unlock the transformation for Ben. Wildvine. A plant-like species, Florana is capable of commanding other plants. They also possess the ability to extend their vine-like arms for the purpose of swinging, while on their backs grow several pod-like protrusions which can be used as explosives. Ditto. The Splixen are a self-replicating species which, while stronger than the average human, share a pretty glaring weakness of each clone sharing any pain a single clone feels. Upchuck. Gourmand are a glutinous species capable of eating large quantities of materials. Afterwards, they are able to spit said material back out. They are coated in a layer of stomach acid which is highly volatile. Eye Guy. With eyes covering several parts of its body, opticoids have a 360-degree view of their surroundings. Each eye is also capable of firing optic lasers. This would make sneaking up to one incredibly difficult. Snarrow. The mummy-like species known as Thep-Kufan seem to be comprised entirely of a material similar to bandages. Frankenstrike. As though from the mind of Mary Shelley, Transilians are an alien species who share their appearance with that of Frankenstein's monster. They are capable of conducting and controlling electrical currents from the coils in their back, using it for either long-ranged attacks or to strengthen their physical abilities, though they are unable to absorb it from other sources and have no resistance to other electrical attacks. And finally, Way Big. Given to him by Azimuth himself, the Tokastar is the strongest alien in the Omnitrix at this time. Physically, it was capable of throwing the alien Vilgax hard enough to reach escape velocity. And if that isn't enough, they are capable of firing a powerful laser from their arms. Wait, no, wrong image. There we go. Needless to say, Ben has many strengths to pull from, each alien giving him large versatility no matter the circumstance. I should consider myself lucky that Ben doesn't have access to the master control anymore. For those who are unaware, the Master Control unlocks full control of the Omnitrix for the user. After managing to figure out the combination to unlock it, Ben was capable of transforming between aliens with just a thought, on top of being able to stay in an alien form for as long as he desired. Ben was capable of handling two of his greatest foes while also traversing the null void dimension. Being able to use several aliens in quick succession showed that Ben is a natural combatant, able to think quickly on his feet even under the most dire of situations. Before I go into countermeasures, I'd like to make one thing clear. Ben Tennyson is a hero, probably one of the most noble out there. He didn't suffer a bad day, watch a loved one be taken from him, lose his home world, or have his life turned upside down by some malicious force with a grudge. He was just a 10-year-old boy living a normal life. But when great power fell to his hands, he took the great responsibility to being a hero without a second thought. That said, there are many who seek the power of the Omnitrix, such as Vilgax, who wishes to use it to conquer the universe. There is also an internal factor, which comes in the form of one of Ben's aliens, Ghost Freak. On the surface seemed to be like any of the other alien forms Ben could take. That is until one day, while using this alien to combat a group of criminal circus performers, Ben's style of combat would suddenly become far more aggressive. It was as if someone else had been in control, and shortly after we discovered that was indeed the case. In an act of resistance, Ghost Freak would free himself from the Omnitrix right at the moment when Ben would have changed back, revealing himself to have been alive in the watch the entire time. Revealing his true form after being set free, Ghost Freak made his intent clear: to possess Ben and gain control of the Omnitrix, which had held him captive this entire time. While Ben managed to avoid this from happening and even defeated Ghost Freak for what he hoped was for good, he would be haunted once more when noticing Ghost Freak's DNA sample had returned to the Omnitrix. When developing a contingency, there are many variables to consider, many of which would involve the strengths and weaknesses of the aliens themselves. For example, Cannonbolt's large body make it clumsy when attempting to move normally, and its rolling attack is useless if used on a frictionless surface, while Upgrade's metal body makes it incredibly weak to electricity, and Ripjaw's is quick to suffocate if not in contact with water for a period of time. My array of gadgets can prove to be an effective counter for many of Ben's surface-level weaknesses when in alien form, but preparing for every such occasion will overcomplicate things. Through much research, I was able to narrow down a few notable weaknesses I can more reliably exploit, the most obvious being the time limit for each transformation. While some external factors can change this, the default limit is about 10 minutes, after which the Omnitrix goes into a recharge mode before Ben can change again. While Ben has shown some ingenuity in avoiding capture while in human form, I have the advantage of knowing not to take him lightly. I have prepared a mechanism to be placed around Ben's arm to prevent him from activating the watch. To my knowledge, the device is only designed to protect itself from forced removal. Another contingency would be to induce sickness on Ben. Nothing serious, of course, as a simple cold would suffice. For whatever reason sickness can carry over to an alien, this can cause strange after effects on them. Though interestingly, a sick heat blast developed ice powers as a result. I also cannot rule out the possibility of tampering with the Omnitrix itself. Now, as I've said, it is level 20 technology. It is not something I can simply hack. But it is a prototype, and regardless of the level of technology, prototypes have flaws. You see, while the Omnitrix seemed to be virtually indestructible, the faceplate, which displays the aliens when active, can apparently be popped off with something as simple as a screwdriver. Without it, Ben's transformation become unstable, resulting in not only a random alien each time, but the alien he gets will be a hybrid of two different aliens. This can be a double-edged sword, however, as there is no way of knowing what kind of fusion we could see. We could get a heat blast, Ripjaw's combo, which is probably the worst hybrid he could obtain, or we could get a fusion with the body of Diamond Head with the strength of 4 arms, not exactly something I'd want to face if I could avoid it. Finally, I have 2 contingencies that should only be saved as a last result. I have in my possession a machine that had been built by Vilgax, one created for a specific task. It is, at least to my knowledge, the only piece of technology that is capable of forcibly removing the Omnitrix from Ben's arm. The process, however, is incredibly painful as seen here, with the Omnitrix being ripped off of Ben's skin. part of me can't help but wonder if it was intentionally made to hurt, as Vilgax's grudge against Ben spans for most of, if not their entire lives. And the final option is to send Ben somewhere he can't be a threat to anyone. The dimension known as the Null Void. Similar to Superman's Phantom Zone, the Null Void is where only the most dangerous people are sent. Ben had been unfortunate enough to be sent here once when he was a child, but thanks to his grandfather, he was able to return. Max Tennyson, a retired plumber, was key to helping Ben grow to be an effective hero. He'd do anything to keep Ben safe, even if it means putting himself in harm's way. He has my respect, not only because of the work he'd done, but because when he learned of my researching for this contingency, he broke into the Batcave to confront me alone. He wasn't happy about me making plans that could potentially hurt his grandson. What parental figure would? But he did understand the risk of the Omnitrix, and so we reached an agreement. While I will enact most of my contingencies, should Ben go rogue or be taken over, only Max can make the call to either remove the Omnitrix or send Ben to the Null Void. Final thoughts. Ben is someone I'd want to see grow into his full potential. There aren't many like him out there. Someone with innocence who wants nothing more than to help people. In a lot of ways, he reminds me of Wally West. Perhaps I should introduce them someday.